guys, how's it going? ASMR Dex here. And for tonight, we're going to be doing something different on this channel, but nothing new. I'm going to be reading to you some tips from the worst case scenario survival hand guide. Well, handbook, but same thing really. Okay, so in this handbook here, we will find survival tips on how to fend off a shark, how to take a punch, how to deliver a baby in a taxi cab. That one is very oddly specific. I wonder how often that one has come up. How to survive a poisonous snake attack. How to jump from a moving car. How to identify a bomb. How to escape from killer bees. And how to survive if your parachute fails to open. That one is very legit. As a person who is deathly afraid of heights, a very helpful tip. Should I choose to do that one day, and should the parachute fail to open, and dozens of other dire situations, okay, so let's just jump right in here then. Okay, so this book has some illustrations, which I will show you guys. And after I read the tips. And this one is how to escape from quicksand, which is actually on the front of the cover here. The very top one, escape from quicksand. Alright. When walking in quicksand country, carry a stout pole. It will help you get out should you need to. As soon as you start to sink, lay the pole on the surface of quicksand. Flop onto your back on top of the pole. After a minute or two, equilibrium in the quicksand will be achieved, and you will no longer sink. Number 4. Work the pole to a new position under your hips and at right angles to your spine. is an illustration which depicts what it's talking about. So I'll show you guys that in just a minute. Take the shortest route to firmer ground. Moving very, very slowly. How to avoid sinking. Quicksand is just ordinary sand mixed with upwelling water, which makes it behave like a liquid. However, quicksand, unlike water, does not easily let go. If you try to pull a limb out of quicksand, you have to work against the vacuum left behind. Here are a few tips. The viscosity of the quicksand increases with the shearing. Move slowly so the viscosity is as low as possible. Floating on quicksand is relatively easy and is the best way to avoid its clutches. You are more buoyant in quicksand than you are in water. That's interesting. Humans are less dense than fresh water, and salt water is slightly more dense. Floating is easier in salt water than fresh water, and much easier in quicksand. Spread your arms and legs far apart, and try to float on your back. And here we can see the illustrations with the bowl and him laying right there across the bowl sideways. Okay, let's find another one then. Before we continue reading, I'm just gonna set this book down because I have here with me this McDonald's cup from 1995. It's Batman themed, and it makes some really, really nice noises. So I'm just gonna demonstrate a little bit. As you can see, it has the Batman logo surrounded by the Riddler's question mark. side. It's kind of hard to tell because it is just glass. But that is Two-Face from one of the early 90s Batman movies. And just in DC Comics in general. This is my favorite noise to make with glass. Alright, so I'm going to set this down, and then we're going to continue reading from our book. There, nice and gentle. Okay, let's see what we can find this time. Okay, this tip here is something that I feel like could come in handy to those who are adventurous or just happen to stumble upon a situation. How to treat a leg fracture. Most leg injuries are only sprains, but the treatment for both the sprains and fractures are the same. If skin is broken, do not touch or put anything on the wound. You must avoid infection. If the wound is bleeding severely, try to stop the flow of blood by applying a steady pressure to the affected area with sterile bandages or clean cloths. I think everyone knows that little tip though. Never only use sterile stuff, of course. Never use anything dirty because you don't want to infect the wound anymore than it already is. Do not move the injured leg. You need to splint the wound to stabilize the injured area. Find 2 stiff objects of the same length. Wood, plastic, or folded cardboard for the splints. Put the splints above and below the injured area, under the leg, or on the side if moving the leg is too painful. Tie the splints with a string, rope, or belts, whatever is available. Alternatively, use clothing torn in the strips. Make sure the splint extends beyond the injured area. Do not tie the splints too tightly. This may cut off circulation, and you really don't want that, of course. You're trying to help the guy, you're not trying to make his injury any worse. Okay, and then we're moving on here with the illustrations. See the injured leg there? The splint. Sorry, I'm trying to make this work out for both of us here. You see how they're tying the splint to the leg. really quick one, but still information that we should really know. And from that one we learned, apply sterile bandages or cloths of any kind to the wound if it's bleeding, to stop the pressure, or to apply pressure, I should say, and stop the bleeding. You then want to find 2 sticks or hard pieces of plastic or cardboard, and you want to use them to make a splint, and you want them to be about the same size too. And then you need to find something to tie the splint to keep it in place. And it gives you the demonstration to tie the splint from the bottom of the leg and the top of the leg. But it also says that if it hurts too much to move the leg, you can do it on the side too. But that's not as effective really. But I mean, if it's all that you can do at the time, it's really all you can do at the time, right? Okay, so we're gonna move on and find something else to read now that we've reviewed that little one. If you notice me darting over to the side there with my eyes, it's just because I go to click my pause button, because there's obnoxious noises all around. Sorry to break your immersion there, but I would rather break the immersion than have you hear like a car driving by or my dog's nails on the hardwood floor, right? Okay. I'm glad we've come to an understanding. The injured leg goes into a little bit more detail on the next page too, but it's just a more if you should raise it or not, and it really all depends. If you need the splinted, then you should totally not raise it until it's splinted, of course, and even then you should probably just leave it be. But if it's more so, if the injury is in a limb, use pressure to control bleeding and elevate the limb. So if it's not broken and just bleeding, you want to elevate it. Okay, so I think I found a good one. How to win a sword fight. Always keep your sword in the ready position. I'll show you the diagrams for this in a little bit. Held in front of you with both hands and perpendicular to the ground. With this method, you can move the sword side to side and up and down easily, blocking and landing blows in all directions by moving your arms. Hold the tip of the sword at a bit of an angle, with the tip pointed slightly toward your opponent. Picture a doorway. You should be able to move your sword in any direction and quickly hit any edge of the door frame. See, as a person who occasionally practices kendo, I never knew that. To picture a doorway and just sort of try to hit all that. That's kind of cool to think about. It's a new technique to really practice. Yeah. Okay. And now it starts giving us the tips. How to deflect and counter a blow. Step 1. Step up and into the blow with your arms held against your body. React quickly and against your instincts, which will tell you to move back and away. By moving closer, you can cut off a blow's power. Avoid extending your arms, which would make your own counter blow less powerful. So you don't want to extend your arm fully, because then you lose the force in your arm. You want to keep it bent straight. Step 2. Push or punch at the blow instead of simply trying to absorb it with your own sword. If a blow is aimed at your head, move your sword completely parallel to the ground and above your head. Kind of like this. Like that. Sorry, you can't really see that. It's hard to hold it up high. My hand as high as you would need to. But you want it over your head, of course. Block with the center of your sword, not the end. Always move out towards your opponent, even if you are defending, not attacking. And here it gives us a couple of diagrams before moving on to the next page. We see how to deflect. The red is depicting you, and that's showing you the high guard, the above your head guard. Notice how the wrists are kept straight. You don't really want to bend your wrist while wielding a sword. And now we're moving on to how to attack. Step 1. Move the sword in steady, quick blows, up and down, to the left and right. Assuming you must disable your attacker, do not try to stab him with your sword. A stabbing motion will put you off balance and will leave your sword far out in front of you, making you vulnerable to a counterattack. Step 2. Do not raise the sword up above your head to try a huge blow. That's like a swing like that, or with 2 hands, a swing like that. You will end up with a sword in your gut, because that's when they take their opportunity to stab you. Hold your position, punch out to defend, and strike quickly. Step 4. Wait for your attacker to make a mistake. Stepping into a blow or deflecting it to the side will put him or her off balance. Once your opponent is off balance, you can take advantage of their moment of weakness by landing a disabling blow, remembering not to jab with your sword, but to strike up and down or from side to side. So mostly when wielding a sword, you don't want to stab unless you're fencing, of course, but this isn't about fencing. You're more so going for blocks, keeping your wrist straight, and not extending your arm out as far as you can. You want to keep a little bend in your arm so you can control that sword. If you're out like this, the sword's going to push you back, but if you have a lock like this, it's not going to push you back so much. But anyways, guys, I think that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you like what you see, then feel free to leave a comment and tell me what you would like to see more. Would you like me to read more from this book? I can totally do that. Or maybe we can do other sort of videos like this. I'm not really sure. It's kind of new for me to do this face cam. Alright guys, I hope you all have a good night, sleep well, and sweet